I come to you in the name of one God, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Have you ever seen the advertisements that claim to make you an accomplished musician in 3 easy lessons? Learn to play the guitar in 3 easy lessons is the bold headline. And following much hyperbole, you have the opportunity to purchase this magic guitar and lesson book with accompanying CD for 4 easy payments. What the advertisement fails to mention is that along with the 3 easy lessons, there are countless challenging, difficult, and downright painful lessons. There are blisters and bloody fingers. There are times you move forward, times you move backwards, and there are times you simply want to walk away. We are surrounded by a whole cloud of witnesses who can testify to times when they wanted to walk away. But they persevered and followed God's path. Perhaps it's best to know what we are getting ourselves into. Faith is not the easy road, and in today's gospel, Jesus is clear about it. Earlier this week, the church commemorated the feast day of Jonathan Myrick Daniels. Not a name most know, unless you're a VMI grad. Jonathan had experienced a time when he wanted to walk away from his faith. But Easter Day 1962 brought him a profound conversion. Soon after, he entered an Episcopal seminary in Cambridge, Massachusetts. In March of 1965, he heard the call of Martin Luther King Jr. to come to Selma, Alabama, to assure that all citizens could vote. Jonathan took leave from seminary and joined the Episcopal Society for Cultural and Racial Unity in Selma. On August 14th, he was jailed with 40 others for joining a picket line. 6 days later, he and his companions were unexpectedly released. No bail had ever been posted. Seeking refuge, a small group walked to a nearby store. 16-year-old Ruby Sales walked to the door first. A man, later identified as a deputy sheriff, stood in the doorway and began to curse her. Jonathan pushed Ruby aside and took the full impact of a 12-gauge shotgun. He died immediately. Jonathan wrote of his experiences in papers found after his death, and we find these words: "The doctrine of the creeds, the enacted faith of the sacraments were the essential preconditions of the experience itself. The faith with which I went to Selma has not changed. It has grown." I don't know much about Jonathan's family. I can only imagine that in many families, a discussion about leaving school to protest in Alabama in 1965 would have elicited strong conversations. In many cases, divisions in the family would have resulted. This is what we're warned about. We're warned not so that we can avoid divisions, but that so we know divisions, like blisters when learning to play the guitar, are a distinct possibility. Jonathan experienced deep divisions in Alabama, and while perhaps not so drastic, so have we. We all have friends because of our faith. We have also lost friends and have not cultivated others because of our faith. I can find whole chapters of my past that have been closed and will never be written in again. And I'm sure that if you look, you will see those same divisions. Faith does not come to us in 3 easy lessons. This just happens to be one of the challenging ones. Jonathan teaches us yet another lesson. At age 26, he had the vision of not looking at the past or the future. He was seeing the present time. He's not concerned with which way the wind blows, but is seeing the signs of the time and seeing God's call. One could have argued that Jonathan should have stayed in seminary and made a bigger impact from the pulpit in the years to come. But he saw the collision of right and wrong and the need to act. Jesus emphatically tells us that we don't notice these things. We can predict the nuances of weather based on clouds and wind direction, but we miss the need for justice and compassion that is right before us. Faith does not come to us in 3 easy lessons. There are times we move forward and times we move backwards. And during those times, when we want to walk away, we should instead turn and walk to the altar for the greatest lesson of all, Eucharist. Jonathan wrote that the enacted faith of the sacraments propelled him. Each week, we have the opportunity to learn and relearn our faith in the sharing of the Eucharist. The enacted faith of sacraments. It's a lesson we repeat each week. We are one body, for we share one bread and one cup. Our differences are put aside, and we gather with a whole cloud of witnesses to be fed by word and sacrament. We take action to break the bread. It can never be put back together. It is forever changed. We too are forever changed. Each lesson of faith that we embrace forever changes us and those around us. 16-year-old Ruby Sales, now in her late 60s, was also changed by the lessons presented to her. She ultimately attended the same seminary as Jonathan. And Ruby runs an organization founded in his memory that focuses on a spiritual approach to social justice. As Jeremiah reminds us today, it is easy for us to get caught up in the message of false prophets and personal agendas. We can also be looking for 3 easy lessons. The road that we walk is not easy, and the lessons can be challenging, though it is glorious. There is a whole cloud of witnesses who can testify to the glory of God and to the benefit of each lesson learned. Jesus warns us that the road we choose won't be easy. And this seems far better to me than the claims of learning to play the guitar in 3 easy lessons. Overlooking the difficult lessons that accompany the easy ones only leads to disappointment. On our recent vacation, we were given directions that instructed us to put the car in low gear when we reached a certain point. Admittedly, this caused some trepidation as we wondered what type of road required navigation in first gear. As we reached the described point, we placed the car in first gear, and the road turned sharply upward. Slowly but surely, we climbed upward. At the top of a long and twisting climb, we were greeted with miraculous views. We would never have made it to the top without the forewarning of the challenge. Difficult lessons like today propel us forward so we can reach the mountaintop and see the glory of the Lord.